Okay folks, this is a brief video on the Bingo profile. And my situation is that I'm down to about 2,800 pounds, and the pattern's been busy and I haven't been able to get in, and one thing led to another, and here we are. I'm down to my trick or treat pass. It's either I get aboard this time or I bingo. Now the official bingo for the day is 2,500 pounds because it's about 100 miles to Incirlik from where we are now. And being the prudent pilot I am, I stuck Incirlik into waypoint 1, so I have that selected now as my 2 waypoint. Right now I have TACAN selected because I'm in the pattern and I want to try to get aboard here. So that's the idea going into this. Okay, we're down to 2730 and we're approaching the abeam position. And I want to make sure I'm about 1.2 abeam, the LSO platform, when I start my turn. And so I'm just going to turn just a little bit inbound, a little bit here, right about 040, 044. And I'm a little high, so I'm going to come down just a little bit. Distance looks okay, maybe a little wide, but I'm still forward of the ship's bow. Okay, I'm a little bit cutting in too much here, so I'm going to come back to the right. A little low now, and coming up on the abeam position at about 600 feet and starting my turn. A little wide at 1.3. I think 1.2 is about optimum, but we'll see how that works out. And I want to start a slight descent here, and I'm down to 2560, so this is definitely a one of those trick-or-treat passes. I'm going to go ahead and cage my velocity vector to keep it in the center. And I'm a little high, about 300 feet high, or 30 feet high at the 90. I'd like to be about 500 feet. And looks like we might be a little long in the groove, but we'll see. And there is the bingo. So technically I should go wave off here, but I am just going to continue because I'm so close, and we always know there's slop in the bingo numbers. Okay, there it is, rolling out. A little bit of an overshoot. 407 Hornet ball, 2.4.
Roger ball.
Okay, and I've got a nice pass going here. A little bit of right for lineup.
Wave off.
And then I get a call for waving it off. Oh, shit.
Foul deck.
So I'm on a bingo profile. So I don't want to go to burn, I'll just go to military. I'm going to go ahead and raise my gear and flaps and start turning towards the bingo field. I don't have to go out to 7 miles. I'm on a bingo profile. So now what I want to do. Well, first thing I want to do is I want to intercept 0.84 Mach in my climb, but high speed is better, so I'm just going to start accelerating, so keep the nose a little low here for a while. And I'm going to go to waypoint 1. Okay, it's 100 miles away about, and I'm turning toward that direction. It looks like it's about 80 degrees to go. And Mach's coming up. There's 0.71, and I want to go to FPass on my screen here so we can get all those numbers. There's a high speed, and there's 0.83, 0.84 Mach, and I'm going to keep it at 0.84, so I'm going to keep the nose coming up. Okay, it's a little bit too fast now, so a little higher. A little higher, keep going, and they want to get in the right direction here. Keep turning. Okay, we're almost there. Keep turning. Still a little bit of fat. I don't know if you got that. It's still a little bit fast, so I got to keep that nose coming up here. 0.85 is not bad. It's just faster than I really want to be. Okay, I got the fuel low indicator, which means that I'm down to about 1,700 pounds or so is what it says. I'm going to use most of my fuel on the climb, obviously. There's 0.84, and I'm going to start lowering the nose just a little bit to keep it that way, not too much because I don't want to go fast again. And I'm climbing up to the optimum altitude, which in this case is 4469, so about 44,000 feet. Oops, I'm getting a little bit too slow, so I have to lower the nose even more. There's one other thing I could do if I was really in extremis, and that's get rid of my drop tank. But we're not going to do that. Right now, though, it does say that I'm going to be zero fuel on deck, which is not good. Well, let's go ahead and switch to the TACAN 2 here. I said I was going to do that. We're at 31,000, still a little bit slow, so I'm going to lower my nose even more to pick up a little bit of speed. And let's switch over to TACAN and see what that gives us. And we want to go to channel 21, enter. And that gives us about the same, not much on deck when we get there. And another number I want to point out to you is this little number right there, the 45, that's counting down, as you'll see. And that's the distance to descent point. So right now we're about 43 miles from descent point, and we're about 74 miles from the field. And oops, we're too fast now, so let's go ahead and go back up. So what I'm looking for is an average of 84. You don't want to overcome it too much because you've got all that speed. You want to keep it, even though you didn't want to pay for it. There it is, 0.84, there's 37. And the max altitude again is still 44.3. Okay, my total fuel now is down to 1,300 pounds. Distance to descent point is 30 miles. Oops, slow, so lower the nose. I'm not tracking that very well. If you can do it better, then that's good for you. I probably could hit sudden attitude once I get there, and that would help. Let's lower the nose even more. Let's get that speed back. There's 41.5. Come on. Mach number pickup. That tank is not helping. Let's go ahead and get it back up there. Still 61 miles to go. And we're at 44. We'll just go to 44, make it an even number. Starting to get a little bit more Mach number back again. And we are 19 miles from the descent point. So about the time we get up there, we're going to be descending. Mach number's almost back up there. "16 miles to descent point. 0.83. Coming up on 43. There's 0.84, so let's raise the nose a little bit. Just enough to keep it from increasing anymore. 1 to go. And we're 12 miles from descent point, and we're down to 1,100 pounds. Oops, a little bit fast, so raise the nose even more, but not too much because we're almost at 44. And so what I'm going to do, there's 8.84, and I am going to go ahead and lock ATC here, and I'm just going to level off right there. Okay, and I'm going to put it on autopilot, and let's take a look at it. 6 miles from descent point, and we're about 1,000 pounds to go. We still have 47 miles to go, and at the moment we're burning 2,100 pounds a side, so 4,200 pounds per hour, and we only have 1,000 pounds, so that's not good. However, we are on a good bingo profile, and we're 2 miles from descent point, 1 mile, and I'm clicking off the autopilot, and there's the 0, so I'm going to bring the power back to idle and lower the nose. I want to lower my nose to about 10 degrees nose down. And if you can look through the HUD and see the airfield out there, you can see it's right about there. And I'm aiming a little bit to the right because the landing runway is coming back this way. And right now we've got about 1,000 pounds still, but we're only burning now, take a look at that, 500 pounds a side, so 1,000 pounds an hour. So we got an hour flying time now. So all of a sudden we look pretty good. How long is it to there? Well, we can take a look down here, and it's 4 minutes and 27 seconds on our TACAN, and 4 minutes and 9 seconds on our waypoint. Now the waypoint is at the midfield point. The TACAN is beyond the approach end of the runway, which is probably more accurate since we're going to have to go beyond it to land. And of course that number is a direct route. It doesn't really count our turn on final. So, but it's only going to take us a fraction of an hour, and we've got an hour's worth of gas. Now the lower we go, the higher our gas usage will become. So right now we're up to 600 pounds a side, or 1.2 per hour. And we're down to 900 pounds, so still our time to land now is down to about 3:40. Let's just say 4 minutes away. So that's a fraction of an hour. We got plenty of gas, according to this, to get there. Now, put yourself in a situation where there's an undercast, maybe even low weather at the field, and now you've got to fly an instrument approach. In that case, the ship probably would have upped the bingo to maybe $3,000 or maybe even $3,500, depending how bad the weather is. And so you would have started with a little extra gas so that you have the gas at this end in order to shoot an approach, which could take, 500 pounds. But even in this situation, we may even have 500 pounds to do an approach. Landing pretty skosh, but that's the way it goes. Now, I also have to configure before I land. So right now I've got the hook down, so let's put that up because we don't want that. I'm going to want this page up for landing. I'm going to leave this up for now, but eventually I want to change it. I usually put the HSI on there, but we don't need that. Everything is VFR today, so I'll just leave it as is. but I want to put the gear down and the flaps down at some point. And let's see, we're up to 800 pounds a side, so there's 900, so 1,800 pounds, almost 2,000 pounds per hour we're burning now. So we've got about a half-hour flying time. And how much time? We got about 2 minutes until we are overhead the field. Okay, now the one thing that we haven't been simulating here is all the ATC work. On a bingo profile, typically they help you out. They give you pretty much a straight line vector, and they'll switch you to tower early so you can get your clearance to land, so none of that becomes a factor. Now obviously this is a single runway airport, so hopefully the ship was in contact with Interlink when they knew I was going to bingo, and let them know I was coming. Because somebody landing ahead of me that blows a tire, that could ruin my day. I'm going to take a little bit of a wider cut here. I still have 900 pounds, and I'm within less than a minute of being overhead the field. And I've got not too much speed, so I'm going to actually have to use my speed brake here, which is, you know, on a bingo profile, nobody ever wants to do that. So we're going to go ahead and use the speed brake because I don't want to extend my distance all that much. And at this point, I have the gas to do it. And we'll switch over to button 4. Insulet Tower, FIST 407, landing the active runway 23. Okay, there's less than 250, so I am going to put the gear down and the flaps because I have 870 pounds, and really what I want to do here is make sure I get configured properly. And since we were at the ship, I want to turn that on, and I want to turn my anti-skid on as well. And I'm high. I want to get my trim back up again. And I'm going to land on runway 23 here. And we're down to about 820 pounds, lots of gas. Okay, and you can see the PAPI there is all white, so I'm high on glide slope. I'm looking for about a 3-degree glide slope, so I'm at 4 degrees now. And there's the red light coming on. I should have 2 of those to be on glide slope. There they are. So I'll put it right about 3 degrees, maybe a little lower than that. And then I'm going to go ahead and flare here for this landing just a little bit. And I'm going to put the stick back on my lap, and I'm going to put the speed brake out. Not very much weight, so I'm going to release the brakes, take my high gain off because I don't need that on the runway here. And folks, that's pretty much a bingo profile in the F-18 from 100 miles. And we'll go ahead and stop, and I'll turn off here. Okay, and then we will head down towards FIST line here. And we're down to 710 pounds. Plenty of gas. Okay, let's start doing our checklist here. I'm going to go ahead and bring up my checklist just to show you what I've got here. This is the shutdown checklist, which I like to use here. And this is going to be for a field. So this is all stuff that I wanted to have done ahead of time, which is done. Ejection seat is saved. Okay, then the next thing is flap switch goes to auto. So that's all the way up. Trim button we push just to reset the takeoff trim. And it should be at 12. There. Well, let's go ahead and hit it again. There it is, 12. Okay. Okay, OBOGs. Let's go ahead and turn the OBOG switch off. And nose gear steering, we've got in low gain, which is what I like. Radar, we go to standby. So we'll go down here to standby. And that's because we want to keep it powered while we're still moving, so we don't bang around any kind of dish or anything like that. IFF is should be off, so we'll just turn all this stuff off here. Okay. Taxi lights we never use, so those are off. And then when we get to the line, we'll hit the parking brake. And I'm sure that if this was, if we had it in our SOP, we would always re-enter our line at the first taxiway here. Yeah, so we have one-way traffic going through our line, since this is kind of a half circle. And we probably have some sort of setup where we would park somewhere where the fuel trucks could get to us instead of into our hangars, and then they would tow the airplanes to each of the hangars. So I'm going to park here. I'm going to go to high gain on the nose gear steering briefly. And this is where we would park so the line crew could do the turnaround, maybe even relaunch. But okay, just park it real quick like that, and I'd go ahead and set the parking brake and place the wheel chocks and place the wheel chocks. Okay, I'm going to bring up that checklist again here real quick. Okay, we already set the parking brake. We're going to go ahead and go to the INS to off, and that has to be 10 seconds before shutdown. Standby attitude indicator, we're going to go ahead and cage. Radar altimeter, we'll turn that off. Okay, turn that off. And radar, we're going to go fully off now. And then FLIR pod we never used, it's off. Left engine, we'll turn that off. And we should see it winding down here, and it is. And the hydraulics, we'll look at that. Right now it's still reading up here 3,000 psi, and we could probably do this to bleed off the number one system a little bit. And you could see it coming down a little bit. There it is, it's coming down. Now, I don't do this every time, but there's nothing supporting it, so it's bleeding down. There it goes, finally. But notice there's still hydraulics, so there's no flap light. Okay, let's turn off the left DDI, the right DDI, the HUD, and the MPCD. That's those four items, and then comms 1 and 2. Now we don't get these things that don't actually turn off. This is another bug. They should actually turn off and these lights should go out, but they don't. And then turn off the internal lights, which are all over here. And the external lights, which are over here. Now the only thing that's still on is the strobe light, which is on the other side of this throttle, and that tells the ground crew that the engine is still running here. And then we'll put the canopy up, and at the same time, or as it's just approaching the apex, we'll shut down the right throttle. Okay, and we should wait for that flaps light, which unfortunately never comes on. Now we have both hydraulics bled down to 0, so no hydraulics, but the battery's on, so there should be a flaps light that comes on right there. And I can show you by going to test. Now you only test on AC power, so you'd have to do that with the AC power first. But trust me, there's a flap lights, the caution light that comes on. It should come on when you shut down the engines with the battery still operating. So that's never going to come on, so we're just going to go ahead and shut down the battery. And there we go, down. So that's it, folks. Thank you much.